Recently, an AI beat a human player at the board game Go, which I've never played and is apparently some kind of big deal. And at the time of writing this video, was at 4 wins and just 1 loss against the human champion opponent, which not only I don't think has a computer ever beaten the human top champion. Now, in my very limited game design experience, designing an AI that can beat a human player, if the game is at all based on like reaction time, just have the AI think instantly and just react, bang, they're dead. Like, you've all played shooters where the enemy, the second you come around the corner, see you and all have a perfect aim on you. And then there are games where you have to keep a lot of variables in mind simultaneously. In those games, AIs can also do quite well, because a human can keep something like 7 bits of information in their working memory at once, and a computer can hold a whole RAM stick of information at once. But in some games where more creativity is involved, humans have a much better chance against computers. Like Go is one of these games. It was, only recently that the top humans would be beat by computers. Chess for a long time was exclusively a human game, though there is one game that I like to play that I don't really think that a computer could ever best a human at. That game is called Diplomacy. Now, if you've never played Diplomacy, imagine Risk with no dice. Armies win by direct numerical advantage. The map is only in Europe, and the betrayals and alliances and backstabbings are just like 11 times more intense. I was introduced to Diplomacy by my sophomore year AP World History teacher in the most fiendishly entertaining way possible. After the AP test, which determines if you get college credit based on how well you do in the course and sort of provides a national standard for the AP test, instead of taking the AP test grade as our final, as some teachers did in the AP classes, or giving a separate final, as many others did, he offered us a choice. We could either take his final, which would be pretty hard as all his tests were, or we could play a game of Diplomacy. The winning team would all get a 100 on their final exam grade. Second place would get something like an 85. Third place would get a 75. Fourth place would get a 70, and everybody below that would fail. Now you have to understand how this is genius, because at least at my school, in the AP classes, there are mostly a subset of... Now you have to see how this is genius. See, at least at my high school, the AP classes are mostly a breakup of slackers who play video games who just happen to be nerdy enough to get into the AP classes back in middle school when they were dividing kids up based on just what they happened to know at the time, and kids who are actually smart who try super hard and basically take their class rank as an equivalence to their self-worth. Now, I'm over here with the slackers, and ordinarily, if this were any other kind of final, we'd just skate by, get a 70-something, be woohoo, summer. But now we can stay up till 2 in the morning playing whatever, until band starts. But by having us play a game for a grade, now this is on our turf. Now we not only have an opportunity to get out of studying for a really hard final, we also have an opportunity to win and prove our worth in the most pointless way possible, because it's a game, but still prove our worth. Now, and all the people who actually try hard in the class already have realized that this would probably be easier. There's no one in high school who wants to do more work if they're not going to get anything out of it. They try hard, but they're also good at compartmentalizing their time, and they realize that playing a board game every day in class would take a lot less time than studying a 100-question review for just a fiendishly hard test after they've already taken the AP test and everybody's just tired and just ready for summer. So the chips are set. Everyone's ready to just betray their friends, backstab, make secret meetings at Whataburger at 11 at night, anything it takes to win. The 2 weeks in which we played the Diplomacy game at school were some of the most intense weeks of high school that I've ever had. If you had any 2 students from the same world history class together at any point in the school, the conversation would turn to Diplomacy and people would start wheeling and dealing. Our game was action-packed from start to finish. Austria got knocked out right away, but had 2 units that just kind of went around the board causing trouble for the rest of the game. Turkey and Russia were just in an all-out war over the Black Sea. England didn't do so well and basically kept trying to make alliances with everybody on the western coast of Europe to just try to get anything done in the game. Me as France, we did pretty good, but then choked at the end when we got a few units pinched by Germany and destroyed, and then Italy backstabbed us and took 3 of our cities, so we didn't win. In the end, I'm pretty sure Russia won, and it actually came down to my team, who we would support in the battle between Germany and Russia. We decided to support Russia just because Germany had been being dicks the whole game, and we'd been holding a grudge. I loved the whole experience, and if the teacher hadn't left the school the year after I'd played diplomacy, I definitely would have taken European history my senior year just for the opportunity to play diplomacy in that kind of setting again. Sure, there are websites where you can play diplomacy, but the experience really isn't the same. Like, it's through a screen, and you might as well not be playing with people, but you have to play with people, because as it stands right now, there's really no way to program a diplomacy AI. Now, I mean, some people are saying, well, I mean, you know, there are AIs in games like Civilization and Risk. Why wouldn't it work for diplomacy? Well, diplomacy entirely hinges on the alliances between characters. In most games, all of the powers of Europe start out pretty much on an equal footing. Russia sometimes has one more city at the start than everyone else, but Russia's really big and often has to fight multi-front wars, so it's still pretty balanced. And making an AI that could broker those alliances, I mean, if you could do it for diplomacy, then watch out, because we've got Skynet or some crap that can manipulate people and probably take over the world. Now, and that's not to say that I'm against somebody making some super world-consuming AI to play diplomacy against, because playing against people is very time-consuming online. Because playing against people is very time-consuming online, most sites either have turns once or twice a day and have other settings to have like turns every hour or every 15 minutes, but that just gets crazy, and I need to sleep at some point, I'm told. Now, see, another reason that I don't think an AI could reliably beat a human opponent at diplomacy is that even though there are no dice or anything like that involved, there's still luck involved. You don't know what the other players are going to do. They could backstab you, they could help you against someone else, and with all of those variables in the mix, an AI player, even if it could, you know, pass a Turing test and perfectly mimic a human player with all their ability to lie and whatnot, would still probably fare no better than a human. I mean, and that's to say nothing of people getting spiteful at the end of the game and dedicating themselves to taking you down rather than winning, which happens just about every game because people are salty. So I'm not holding my breath on a diplomacy AI at all. Though if one does come around, I'd be totally into that. But for the time being, I'll stick to playing against people. And if any of you guys want to play diplomacy with me on Backstabber, because I'm on there all the time, like, I mean, I'll link in the description to the site, because, you know, diplomacy's fun. Everyone should play it. Also, a few weeks ago, I went skiing in Colorado. So if you guys want to watch GoPro footage of me skiing badly, you can click here to see that.